Hi, Yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach, and today is Friday Fun with Sara. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make these fun icicles with a jingle bell. Now, I just did the test one in gray, and I really love it. And there's lots of different ways that you can personalize these and make them different. Get in your sparkle yarns and have some fun. Get in your beads and jingle bells and have some fun making these. It's a great group project, and I really enjoyed making them myself. It's one of those things that once you get started and you start pulling out yarn, that you can't stop making them because they're just so much fun. You can hang them on your tree. You could hang them along with a string of lights, make a bunting of them, or just add them to lots of gifts and decorations. Aren't they fun? Oh, and before we look at supplies, remember the crochet pattern and instructions to make this is on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video, as always. So what you're going to need to make some crocheted icicles is you're going to need some yarns. Now this gray is just a plain, but I've got some silver sparkle here and some white sparkle, but you can use any of your sparkle yarns and make them all different colors, purples and blues, and just lots of fun Christmas colors. It just takes a small amount. We'll be stitching that up with an H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. Now the other thing that you're going to need is some beads. These are faceted beads. They're all sparkly. Here we've got some gold and red and blue, silver. These are round gold beads. And so you can use lots of different color beads. I used pony beads on this one along with the silver, and I really love the way that it looks. And then you'll need a jingle bell if you want to add a jingle bell to the bottom of your icicle. I think that's kind of fun, but you don't have to add it if you don't want to. That's just a little extra touch that I like because I just love jingle bells. Now you're going to need a needle for weaving in your ends, but remember, you also need a needle that's going to be able to fit through your beads in order to put them on at the top and the bottom. So if your needle is too big, you might want to go with one that has just a little bit smaller eye so that it can get through those beads. Oh, and don't forget, you're going to need a pair of scissors. For today's demonstration, I'm going to use this sparkle yarn, and we're using all medium weight number 4 yarns. And these are acrylic. And then I just grabbed an assortment of beads. I've got a couple of silver stars and a couple of silver pony beads and then some bigger pony beads in white. And I found these two that they're actually flowers, but I think they kind of look like snowflakes. And then also a silver bell. I don't know how I'm going to use them yet. I'm going to just let my creativity tell me how to use it. Alrighty, so we're going to begin with a slip knot. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we'll join this chain 5 into a circle. So I'll put the tail of yarn over our hook, pull that through, and snug that down. Now, if you would prefer to use the magic circle or another method of making your circle here, you certainly can. Now we're going to begin like we're making a basic granny square. So we'll put our hook in, pull up a loop, and chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet. Now we're going to stitch 2 more double crochets, 1 and 2. So that'll give us 3 because our chain 3 counted as our first. Chain 2 and 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll repeat that 2 more times so that we have 4 sets of 3 double crochet, chain 2. You'll also notice that I'm stitching over my tail of yarn, and that's so I can close this hole up in the center when I finish. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 3 double crochet, chain 2. I'm going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch in those next 2 double crochets and then slip stitch in that chain 2 space. And then I'll go ahead and chain 3. Now, before we go on, we're going to turn this over and gently pull on that string. That's going to close that hole up. We can grab our needle and go ahead and weave that in. Then we don't have to worry about that. But if you don't want to do it till the end, that's totally okay. Just want to go around until that hole's nice and snug. Put my thread back on my needle. There we go. Then we'll just go back the way we came, going through stitches and fibers. Make sure it's nice and snug. Give it a little bit of a pull. And clip it off. And now I don't have to worry about it. Alright, so for row 1, we basically have the beginning of a granny square. We have 4 sets of 3 double crochet, chain 2, we joined back to the chain 3, and then we slip stitched over to that chain 2 space. So we slip stitched over to the chain 2 space and we chained 3. Now we're going to double crochet 2 more times, chain 2, and now we're going to stitch 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're not going to keep going around here. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Okay, and so that is the way that row 2 should look. We've just done 1 corner of our granny square. So we chained 1, we're going to turn our work. We're going to slip stitch in those 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, then slip stitch in that chain 2 space and chain 3. And then again we're going to stitch 2 double crochets, chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then again we'll chain 1 and turn. And so what ends up happening is we're going to be turning every row and working that down in order to form our icicle. So we chained 1 and turn. We're going to slip stitch in those 3 double crochets, go in the chain 2 space and slip stitch and chain 3, 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And again, chain 1 and turn. And you'll continue to repeat this for 3 more rows till you have a total of 7 rows. So I repeated this till I had a total of 7 rows. We have our square, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, this is going to end up being about 10 inches once we add the bottom with the beads and the top. But if you want your icicle to be even longer, you can continue to repeat row 3 until it is as long as you would like it. I'm not going to repeat it anymore. This is as long as I would like it. And so on my last repeat, we turned, slip stitched in the 3 double crochets, and slip stitched in the chain 1 space. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 10. Now we're going to come back to our chain 2 space and stitch a slip stitch. And that's going to give us just a nice little loop to hook on our beads. We'll cut that, tie that off, and we'll go ahead and weave that in, and then we won't have to worry about that either. It'll be all done, and now we can add our beads. So I'm just going to weave this in nice and secure so it looks nice and pretty. There we go. So there's my completed icicle, but now it needs the decorative beads and of course a jingle bell. So you're going to need to cut 2 strands of yarn, maybe about 10 to 12 inches long. One is for the top and one is for the bottom. We're going to do the top first, okay? So we're going to take our strand and we're going to go through this chain 2 space and pull that through. We'll tie a knot at the top. Just to hold that secure, and then we need to decide what beads we want at the top. So I want to use one of my stars, one of my snowflakes, one of those, and one of those. So we'll move those out of the way. So I think I'll do it like this. I think that'll look pretty. Kind of different, kind of pretty. All right, now what you're going to do is you're going to thread both of these strands onto your needle. And if you can't get them both on at the same time, sometimes you can thread them one a piece. Okay? All right, so I want them to go this direction. So I'm going to start with my larger pony bead. Then I'm going to put my star on. If I can pick it up. Then I'll put the, actually think I'm going to put my snowflake next. And then end with my last little pony bead. Yeah, I like that. I think that looks nice. So we'll pull the needle off, push those down, tie that same knot, just to keep our beads down there. There we go. And then we'll tie another knot up a little higher, and that'll form the loop. We can either use it to hang it up with or use it to put the hook for our ornament on. All right, so that's the top, and I'm really liking that. I was going to use some of the crystal-y beads, but I just didn't want to. I didn't feel it. All right, now we're going to do the bottom in a similar fashion. We're going to put our hook through this loop, grab that strand, even them up, and tie a knot. There we go, and make sure that's to the center. All right, and then we'll do the same thing. All righty, so I've got a couple extra. I'm gonna, let's see. We want white, silver, white, silver, and then I'm going to put one white there, not use this one, and then put my jingle bell on like that. Okay, I like to kind of form where the white ones aren't next to the silver ones so that they stick out and show. But of course you can use whatever method that you want, whatever beads that you like. And if you're making this for someone, you could always use their favorite colors. If someone's doing their house in purple and silver, that would be beautiful. Blue and white. And of course, the basics, red and green. All right, now my needle's not going to fit through there. All right, so I'm going to grab a smaller needle. If I grabbed a smaller needle, the eye is a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread these on individually. Like that, and then I'll grab the other one. And that's what you can do if your needle eye is too big for both strands of your yarn. All right, now we're going to push that up. And then I sort of pull that down just a little bit because I want to tie a knot on top of where that jingle bell is. You know, something else that would be fun to hook to one of these is maybe some mistletoe and hang this in a doorway. You'll hear them come in because the door will hit the bell, and then you'll say, "Hey, you're under the mistletoe." Yeah, I'm just ornery that way. All right, so I cut that off. I'm going to push those beads down. And now I have a beautiful, sparkly icicle with beads and a fun jingle bell. So there you have it, some super simple beaded icicles that you can use for lots of different decorating ideas. Like I said, yes, hang them on your Christmas tree, but you might want to put them in a doorway with some mistletoe, or maybe add them to some indoor lights. And you can put these on outdoor lights as well, like if they're like around your porch and stuff, it'd be really pretty. Add them to packages. And another thing is that if you're having a get-together or party for any of the holidays, whether it be Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or just a get-together for holidays and Christmas, you could make one of these for each of your guests that they could take home as a souvenir of the fun time they had at your get-together. You could also do something fun and maybe stitch a bunch of them up ahead of time, and they could add their own beads in their own colors that they like. So it's a super versatile and fun idea. And I really had fun making these. I'm going to make some more, of course. Well, thank you for being with me for Friday Fun Day, and I'll see you next Friday for another Friday Fun Day.